So last night, we went to the school board to let our voices be heard after they suspended my ability to use the school's gyms to coach a youth basketball team comprised of school students, every one of them, 4th graders and 5th graders, and I got one 6th grader on our team. We play in a 5th and 6th grade league. And we got there, and the meeting started at 6:30, and by the time it was our turn to be able to speak, it was 8:30. Most people had left. They then had the parents that were there to speak on my behalf go in, and I had my wife go in too, because she's a teen mom, and they didn't initially understand that she was my wife. They said, is she your wife? I said, she's a teen mom. So I kind of omitted certain bit of information because I wanted her to be able to go in there, but they weren't even going to let me hear, but I heard, because I have ways. And anyway, I heard everything that was going on in there, and man, I was really thankful. The parents that said the things that they said on my behalf, it was quite kind and touching, and actually on multiple occasions it brought a tear to my eye. I didn't let it drop though, I'm a man, right? But it did bring a tear to my eye, just knowing that people recognize the things that have happened and how much I care about these kids. And so anyhow, by the time I got in there to speak, it was almost 9 o'clock, maybe 9:15, something like that. But they really drug it out. Like after the meeting got done, they went to the open session got done. They went to a closed session. They talked to some man that was having an issue where his kid his 5-year-old got assaulted on the school bus by the bus driver's foster child, and because the school was so afraid of a FERPA violation, the elementary principal told this man, I don't have to tell you nothing. They weren't letting the man see the camera. They weren't letting the man know anything about what happened to his kid, and I guess his kid reacted whenever he was assaulted, and then they kicked his kid off the bus, and they wouldn't give him any information. Just, your kid's off the bus, and now you got to drive your kid to school. And I guess this dude lives like 20 miles away from the school. So it was pretty crazy deal, it seemed like on the surface. And of course, I don't have all the details on that to be able to fully analyze the situation, but that's neither here nor there. And then after he walked out, they waited a good probably 30 minutes at least, sitting in there talking amongst themselves about different things. Maybe it was 45 minutes. I don't know. They definitely drug things out, and up until the point where they allowed the parents that were there to speak to the issue at hand involving me. And then after they came out, they had me go in by myself to talk to me. And it didn't go the way that I wanted it to necessarily. I realized that they were most likely not going to rescind their decision. They made their decision without a whole side to the story. They made their decision without contacting any of the parents of the kids that I coach. They didn't bother to ask me. They just made their decision, and nope, this is what it's going to be. And the reason why they did that is because they already had it in their mind that they did not like the things that I am doing in that school district. And really the biggest reason is that they don't like the light being brought to their incompetence. And let me tell you what, whenever they said there's more than just basketball, you know that, right? I said, absolutely. Academics is paramount, and your school district performs in the bottom 3% of school districts in Missouri. The school board president slams his hand down. We're done. And I just kept dropping fact bombs on him. 72% of your student body population can't perform at grade level proficiency in ELA. 85% of your student body population can't perform at proficient level in mathematics. You had 4 superintendents in 5 years. We're done. You guys win 1 basketball district championship in 40 years and you force the coach out. We're done. They didn't like hearing all that. They didn't like hearing about the way things really are. Okay, they live in a false reality, and they actually wrote me a letter, said that they had a proud tradition of excellence. Folks, they just had within the last year, they had to remove the school board president, the previous school board president, because he had federal charges and state charges brought against him for molesting his own daughters. You've got, and hey, you know what? The rumor mill works in all directions, and people talk to me too because they recognize that the kind of person that I am and the things that I'm interested in, and there's people that really want to see things improve in this school district, but you've got a group of people that have entrenched themselves, and they would rather preside over a pile of garbage than work with people to clean it up and make it better. Because they're afraid that that's going to expose them. They don't want to become aware of the way things really are, and so they do everything they can to guard themselves. So a guy like me who speaks up whenever something's not right, who's not going to be a go along to get along, just go with the flow and be a subservient guy just for the sake of peace and harmony. I'm a guy that will go against the grindstone and be a ramrod to break things up when they're not right so that the pieces can be reassembled into something that's efficient and works good for the kids. Because that's really the point. And some of the board members, oh, well, we're here for the kids. No, you're not there for all the kids. You might be there for your kids and the prestige, but you are there for selfish reasons, okay? And whenever somebody like myself comes along whose main motivation is just enjoying watching the product, enjoying seeing these kids thrive in life later on, because they learned the life lessons in athletics that prepared them for the real world, and building that relationship and then watching that go to the next generations. That is my motivation. I'm not focused on the approval of man as much as I'm focused on, man, what I got to do being right standing with God. And I will go to bat against incompetence and inefficiency and weak subservience all day, every day. And so anyway, the main arguments that this particular school board has against me is that we had a youth basketball game in December, early December, where the school we were at, they were actually scheduled to play, the varsity girls basketball team was scheduled to play our school's varsity girls in a early season tournament in a third place game. And we get there, our game is supposed to start at 1 o'clock. And they keep all the doors locked. They won't let us in. We don't know where to go. It was never communicated to us where we were supposed to enter the building. We finally get into the building at like 18 till 1. Okay, 18 minutes till we're supposed to start the game. I get the kids their uniforms handed out. We get everybody ready. And I come out of the bathroom and everybody's standing in the hallway. What's going on? Oh, their coach said that they're having a shoot around. What? At this time? And so I go and I look in the door and I see these girls are in there in sandals and they're just kind of jacking around. They're not really taking it seriously at all. The coach is just standing over to the sideline and they're just kind of loosely shooting free throws. And I look around, there's an old man, he's got a walker, his arms are shaking, he's saying, I really need to sit down. And this athletic director and girls basketball coach at this Class 1 school, he thought he was so cool to make everybody stand out in the hallway. He wouldn't even let anybody in come sit in the bleachers, not even this old man. And so I open the door, I'm like, dude, what's going on? And we're having a shoot around. We're going to be in here for at least the next 15 minutes. You stay out in the hallway or we're going to kick you out. I said, look, dude, if you ain't got them ready at this point, they ain't going to be ready. I said, you had all season to get them ready. A few more free throws to inconvenience all these people. You're supposed to be a hospitable host. You ain't being hospitable at all. Y'all could have scheduled the game at 1:30 instead of making us all stand out here, keeping us locked outside on a really cold and windy day. I said, this is ridiculous, man. And anyway, he didn't like being told that, and so then he informed other people that I was not to be allowed in the gym, that I was out. They weren't going to let me come in to even coach my kids that day. And so I stood there and I mean, I kept at them the whole time that I was there because it was wrong what they did. That they were inconsiderate hosts, and I let them hear about it. And I had them, and they asked me to leave. I said, you can call the police, have them come and tell me that I got to leave. Because honestly, I wanted to see if you had a police officer that was going to enforce their will, or how that would work out with my right to freely speak against people that are doing things that I believe to be wrong, when I'm not threatening anybody, I'm not harming anything other than a person's ego. And so the police lady came and they told me I had to leave. Okay, whatever. Went and sat in the parking lot. Kids played the basketball games. We left. And I sent a letter to the superintendent of that school telling him all the things that had went down that day. And he actually apologized to me and said that he wanted people to come to their school district to have a good experience. He was sorry that his athletic director was rude. And so that situation happened, and okay, whatever. Moving on from that. And then we come along to the end of December, and I have another argument with the person who is supposed to be the overseer of youth sports in this particular community. And he's just a feckless person. He's not competent in the role. And that was apparent early on in his lack of communication. I didn't have the information that I needed. And we were like 10 days away from our first game the first year that I came here to coach. And I got parents asking me for, hey, what's the schedule? I'm like, look, I don't even have the rules. I don't even have the league specific rules. Here we are. We got 3 practices before our first game. I don't know what height the goal's on. I don't know the time. I don't know any of that stuff. I said, I don't know if the person that's in charge of this is incompetent and doesn't know what he's doing, or if he's overwhelmed, he's busy, he doesn't have the information himself. I do not know. But I do not have the information that you want. I wish I did. I've tried to get it. I've sent multiple messages, and I can't seem to get what we need. And so, by the time that the gossip weed had spread around town, it got back to this man and his wife that I was saying he didn't know what he was doing, and he wasn't a good coach, and he was an idiot, and all this, that, and whatever. Which the only thing of the sort that I said was that I don't know if he does not know what he's doing, or if he's overwhelmed by the position, or what the deal is. Okay. That was about the most negative thing that I said about the man. And it's true. Okay. And so his wife felt it was important to come and corner me and, hi, I'm such and such. I'm such and such's wife. I heard you were talking shit on my husband and just blah, 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 just barking at me. I'm like, whoa, lady, I don't know you. And I don't have enough information to evaluate whether your husband is a good coach or not. I mean, at this point I do, and he's not, but at that point I didn't know that. Okay. And so anyway, then we go through, I send a letter out voicing my, I sent a letter out after my first season of coaching basketball, expressing that I really wanted to work with the community and so on and so forth, and help the kids to be better and whatnot. And nothing ever came out of any of it. And I was like, man, that's pretty odd that I put myself out there and I'm credentialed and very, very qualified to be able to do this, and that I don't hear anything back to be able to help these kids. And they say they're there for the kids. And I mean, that would be the purpose of why you would have anything to do with a school district, should be. And so anyhow, last summer comes along, there's a summer basketball camp, and this man's wife, the one that had cornered me in the hallway, she comes walking by, and I said, hey, how's it going? And I know she heard me because I'm a loud person. People hear me when I talk. It's just how it is. And man, she stuck her nose up in the air, and she just walked on by like, I heard you, but I ain't even gonna look your way, like her poop don't stink. And if you knew this woman and you saw her, you would understand her poop really stinks. And so I was just really like, what the crap? And I realized in that moment, she's a social bully. She does that type of thing on her husband's behalf because he doesn't really have the fortitude to do it himself. And so she goes around and she puts out this image of she's, a certain type of person, and she's got the typical, I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to stoop that low, but anyway, it is what it is. So she does that. And then whenever she would get called on something like that or be put in her place, then she can play the victim card of, oh, I'm just a woman. Okay. Well, so we fast forward to this year, in December, the late December, early December, whatever. So I scheduled gym availability with the athletic director and the varsity coach. I coordinate with another dude that I know is coaching a youth girls basketball team to make sure that we're all on the same page. I have no idea this man that I've had to deal with that is such a poor communicator had no idea he was coaching a basketball team. And so when I show up to the gym in the Wednesday after Christmas, normally we would practice on Mondays and Fridays, but this Monday happened to be the Monday after Christmas Day. So it was the day after Christmas, and I didn't feel like that was appropriate. And as far as I knew, the gym was wide open for that particular Wednesday night. And I walk in there, and there he is, and what are you doing here? We got basketball practice. No, you don't. I got basketball practice. This is why we have to. He's just coming at me real condescending. Like, I was like, dude, this is why I've been telling you to communicate. This is frustrating. I've had practice scheduled for my team for this gym for 3 weeks. And I've ran that through, different channels of communication, but you don't communicate. And so I didn't even know you had a team left, and he's barking, and his wife starts to bark. And knowing that she's a social bully, I just looked at her and I said, Plumpty Dumpty, you can shut up. I'm talking to your husband. And had to let her know, like, I'm not going to tolerate you because I don't appreciate the way that you've interacted with me in the first place. And so your involvement in this conversation is not wanted, and you can just sit there and be quiet. And of course she didn't like that, and of course he didn't like that. But again, I didn't cuss nobody. I didn't threaten nobody. I simply told people things they didn't like to hear. And then that's where I told them, like, dude, you're not competent in your role. You're doing a great disservice to these kids. He said, you think I don't know what I'm doing? I've been doing this for 20 years. And I look up at the banner wall and I say, so this is you then. So this is, you're responsible for this, that you've won one district championship in 40 years and you guys have won one conference championship in 65 years. And he didn't like that at all. And he said, you don't think I want it to be better? I said, I'm sure you do want it to be better, but you don't have the ability to make it better. And your ego keeps you from wanting other people to come in and do a better job than you. He just stood there and looked at me. And so after that, he went and complained to the board, hey, this guy's hurt my feelings. He told my wife to shut up, even though he knows what she is. He knows how she is. And they're just not good people. And actually, this man, there's another man in the community that is a good person. And he told me that this particular individual had an affair with his wife, and that he's running around drinking and cheating on his wife. And he has the whole community fooled into thinking that he's a good dude when he's not. And that makes sense because last night in the board meeting, his boyfriend was like really, really like agitated at me. I'm like, dude, I don't even know you. And it's just, what you have is you have a small group of a good old boys club. They're really generally pretty ignorant. Okay. They're there for personal reasons, and they sit around and they're drinking buddies and they're doing their thing, and they just like feeling like they're important, but their level of overall awareness is very, very minimal. And then you have a bunch of system people. You have weak, subservient, cucked, ignorant men that are directing the affairs of your school, and then the statistics don't lie. I mean, this school is not in a good condition. And folks, if you don't have men like me, I'm not saying you got to have me in there, because I'm not interested in running for school board. I have people that I would support to run for school board, but I have other things going on. I'm not really school board material. I'm not really politician material necessarily, because I'm not going to keep myself guarded like that. I'm going to be authentic and true to who I am, and I'm going to aim to influence things to go in a beneficial direction, because I know things that most people don't. Okay, I've spent 15 years after I graduated from college aiming to better understand the way the world is, and I didn't realize it in the process, but I was becoming an expert in sociology, and through that, I understand interpersonal dynamics. I don't always handle my own emotions the best that I should. It's not like I'm flying off the handle and beating the piss out of people, but sometimes I beat people up with words. But I'm not cussing people. I'm not threatening people. I'm not saying things that aren't true. Okay. I'm not making things up about people. I'm stating facts, and I'm stating firsthand information from people that relay it to me, and I'm putting it all together and I'm laying it out there. And there's people that don't like that. The darkness doesn't like being exposed by the light. And that is really at the core of what we're dealing with in this particular community, is that you have a certain type of person that has managed to ascend themselves to a position of perceived authority, and they like that feeling. And they liked when they had me in that position, they liked the safety and security of feeling like they could kind of bully a strong type personality, because they weren't afraid of a physical consequence for what they did. And they wanted to really kind of show me who's boss. That was kind of their attitude when we were in there. And then once I realized, hey man, they're not going to give a favorable ruling, they're not going to reinstate these privileges, I saw an opportunity when they asked me if I understood that there was more than just sports, to just drop truth bombs on them. And let me tell you what, the reaction, I wish there could have been a camera. Their reaction when I started dropping the statistics of where this school district stands in the state, they didn't like it. We're done. They didn't want to hear the truth. They didn't want that light shined on them. Okay, a lot of those school board members, they didn't even know. Okay, they are probably like a lot of us, because the school board members, they've got respectable kids. Don't get me wrong, and they're performing well, like a lot of our kids are. Parents that are involved, they're performing well because we've put the necessary information into them to help them do well. But they're not being challenged. One of the reasons why our kids are having such success is it's really too easy. Okay, because the school district with the No Child Left Behind law, it really forces school districts to cater to the lowest achieving students. And so if you're knocking it out of the park and you're ahead of the curve, you end up with a lot of free time. And ultimately, that's not good for our kids. People have been forced into a particular way of thinking as it relates to education and children, and they're really handicapping future generations because their expectations have been so greatly watered down, and people are just so caught up in the rat race and caught up in la land and enjoying the bliss of ignorance, that people aren't willing to pursue a greater understanding and attain a greater level of awareness as it relates to the events that are taking place in our kids' lives. And we can change things and we can make it better, but that's going to take focused effort and communication and people that are determined to see it through. And if that's what's going to happen, if we're going to see real, true, sustained improvement in our school district, there are certain people that you have got to get rid of. And most of you who are going to watch this video are going to understand exactly the people that I'm talking about. The people that are putting on one face to the public, but they're not good people behind the scenes. And you've got another person that they seem like they're a generally pretty nice guy, and I don't believe that he's one of the ones that's out running around having affairs and being a drunk. He just does not come off as that kind of guy at all. He just seems totally subservient. He comes off as the kind of guy that is follow the book to a T, and if you break the most minor rule possible, he's going to go tattle to the boss so that he can elevate himself and cause you problems. He's that kind of guy. And those aren't the people that you want whenever your world is in a pretty perilous time. You want strong men that are willing to stand up against the conditions that have led us here, that are willing to break out of the box, that are willing to think in a dynamic way, that are willing to break from the State Department of Education and find a new curriculum model that works better for your kids. I mean, the entire state is under 50% proficiency in ELA and mathematics. Okay, it's not a good situation. The system is broken, and it's going to take a certain type of people with backbones and fortitude and willingness and intelligence to help our individual communities level up and thrive so the next generation can be better than this one. None of us are perfect, but that does not mean we shouldn't try to pursue perfection. Think about it. God bless.